Hello again, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for this Sunday's edition of Alaska Weather. I'm Dave Percy, a meteorologist with the National Weather Service, and I'll be hosting today's show. No watches, warnings, or advisories out anywhere in the state here for the next day or so. So we'll skip the hazardous weather graphics and move right to fire danger. And pretty good zone here of high to very high fire danger all the way from the Noatak Valley there west or eastward here over to the border with the red areas. That's extreme fire danger, and kind of expanded here over the upper Yukon Valley, and areas of extreme extend westward all the way to the Noatak Valley. And then this is kind of progressed southward here toward the northern Kuskokwim Valley a little bit there, and also an expanding area of high fire danger in the Susitna Valley. Could be even a little more extensive, and could be in the very high category with the temperatures in the lower 80s that they had at mid-afternoon today. And this area here has expanded also southward across the eastern interior in the 40-mile country, and then extends into the Copper River Basin. A little bit more higher fire danger today in that area. And again, even over there in the Copper River Basin, temperatures got into the lower 80s. Moving on, satellite imagery. You can see low pressure there slowly moving eastward there over the western Aleutians, with lots of clouds in the frontal boundary here, associated with the frontal boundary in across just about all of the Bering Sea here. We've got clouds all the way up towards St. Lawrence Island. It looks like a few breaks there into Norton Sound, but generally still a weak trough in this area, and another one up over the Chukchi Sea. That's holding the clouds in with some scattered light showers, no heavy precipitation at all. A little bit more significant, a few areas reported wetting rains here from the Brooks Range on up to the north, or the across the north slope, with Arctic Village picking up about 1/10 of an inch of precipitation. And then back to the west, Noatak in the last 12 hours had roughly 2/10 of an inch. And thunderstorms lighting up here around the Arctic Village area in the Brooks Range today, and then over the eastern interior. Not much extension southward or to the west yet, but that'll probably change by this evening. Lots of sunshine here, south central Alaska, Copper River Basin, and clouds and showers holding the temperatures down today up over the areas, well, Tanana, Upper Yukon Valley locations. And it was a sunny day there for Kodiak Island, Bristol Bay, not too bad, some sun, Togiak over to Dillingham. Cloudy skies on the Bering Sea side of the Alaska Peninsula, northwest flow here, though clearing it out on the south side and down into the Pacific. And the southeast coast here, moisture carried rain. Well, actually, much of the southeast coast had rain in the last 24 hours, measurable amounts. Wrangell had about 1/3 of an inch, as did Ketchikan and Sitka. Again, 12-hour amounts ending at 3 p.m. this afternoon. And rolling this through again, see some breaks starting to show up here off the coast due to well, offshore flow that's coming in and wrapping back around that low center and weak system there, keeping the clouds and rain in over the southern areas. Looks like some clearing there from the Koyukuk, Kobuk Valley areas in toward the Noatak area, as well as the eastern Arctic coast, North Slope. No fog reported in any of the locations up there this afternoon, and really hard to find any at all here in the Bering Sea, like Tin City or Gamble. Just cloudy skies there. But there's fog and rain with the system out west there, central Aleutians. That front very close to Atka, or at least another band of moisture, but they only picked up 0.15 of an inch of precipitation. And along with that, some small craft advisory level winds in the marine areas. And that's the position this afternoon, rain Atka, and that pushing in toward Nikulski. And we'll see for tonight that continues to advance, with a chance of light rain, drizzle, fog, all the way up to the Alaska Peninsula, just east of Cold Bay, into the Pribilofs. Light winds, really not much of a factor. Southeast maybe 5 to 15, maybe 10 to 20 now in advance of the front. Fog areas of drizzle, nothing but clouds there for the remainder of the Aleutians. Clearing out, or it stays cleared out there for Kodiak Island. May see an increase in the clouds, nothing significant there off to your east and northeast. And thunderstorms again are possible down to the Wrangell Mountains this evening. That'll extend back up toward this trough over the eastern interior around Eagle, where they had 80 degrees today. Otherwise, look for skies to start to clear up over the upper Yukon Valley. Showers continue, Brooks Range, and those will drift out toward the Arctic coast. Any one of which could develop into a thunderstorm here over the next 4 hours or so and move out to the north. Otherwise, rainfall diminishes and showers start to end maybe completely toward Monday morning. And for Monday, you can see partly sunny, I call it, for the southeast coast there. Some lingering shower chances down south, but compared to today, practically nothing. Chance of showers, Yakutat, thunderstorms possible again, Susitna Valley, Talkeetnas, maybe to Denali, and more over toward the eastern border now than what we've seen. Again, Arctic Village, southward to Eagle, in toward the Copper River Basin. Could see some thunderstorm activity tomorrow afternoon after a mostly clear or sunny start to the day, and another sunny day for Kodiak. Light westerly flow there, keeping the clouds to the east, off to the east, and that frontal boundary now kind of nudges up across the Alaska Peninsula, so rain will end, and fog, maybe some clearing. Might be a little optimistic at that for the Unmak Island area, but it looks like a rainy day for the Alaska Peninsula. Back to the Pribilofs, and really not much change out there for the western Aleutians, and some showers along the North Slope areas there, and by the time you get to the Arctic coast. And for the outlook on Tuesday, that front pushes into the southwest interior, really falls apart though. Just, I'd call it showers, light showers associated with this portion of the front, maybe a little more light rain or drizzle, but amounts will be quite light here into Bristol Bay associated with a warm front there. And then southerly flow, look for some light precipitation in the form of drizzle, rain, or areas of fog. And that'll be now on the southern side of the Alaska Peninsula with that south to north flow. But along the main frontal boundary here, periods of rain, fog, and drizzle look good. For the Pribilofs, maybe southeast winds gusting 25 miles an hour. That'll extend down to the Fox Islands, and then cloudy and scattered showers, central western Aleutians. And the southeast coast, mostly sunny skies with the only thunderstorm threat now is in the Yukon, and then back up, say, over the northeast Copper River Basin area. Maybe the Wrangells on the north side there, and that's about it, the eastern Alaska Range. Looking at the low temperatures tonight, upper 40s to lower 50s for the southeast coast, and 55 to 60. Actually for the Susitna, Manuska Valley, as well as the Tanana Valley and upper Yukon, with lows down toward the frost point, the Arctic coast. Lower 40s now for the Bering Sea, and mid 40s for the Aleutians, and upper 40s for the Alaska Peninsula. Highs tomorrow, some areas coming up from what you saw today, 70, 75, 6 or 7 again here up over the upper eastern interior, 75 to 82, Susitna Valley, Kenai Peninsula. Not much change from today, and 50s out west, 60s for the Panhandle, followed by lows on Tuesday morning. No change from what you see tomorrow morning, upper 40s to lower 50s for the Panhandle. Upper 40s to mid 50s here, central interior, mid 50s mostly south central Alaska. That'll be followed by highs in the 70s, a little cooler now, but still pretty nice, 60s to mid 70s.
And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
First line weather graphic for Monday morning. Area of IFR here off the southwest coast with marginal VFR up to the coastline, across Nunivak Island, marginal VFR St. Lawrence Island. A little bit of a break here, looks like across the Pribilofs, then a lot more IFR farther to the west-southwest across the Bering. Some IFR and marginal VFR from the Brooks Range on out to the Arctic coast. Good VFR over the interior, and maybe some areas of marginal VFR along the coast of the Panhandle. And then for the afternoon, quite an area of IFR here, up across the Gulf of Alaska, over to Yakutat, marginal VFR, and over most of the southeast coast. And southern Kenai Peninsula, Prince William Sound, VFR in the interior. IFR, Arctic coast, marginal VFR along the Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta coast, on down into Bristol Bay, and part of the Alaska Peninsula, but just to the west, nothing but IFR. And for the Tuesday morning, we've got marginal VFR there for St. Lawrence Island in a narrow band here right down the southwest coast into Bristol Bay. And then right on its heels, a huge area IFR covering all the Aleutians, southern side of the Alaska Peninsula, southwest Kodiak Island, up to the coast of the Kenai Peninsula, south coast there. May or may not get into Seward, but some of that will get into Prince William Sound, VFR in the interior, and marginal to IFR from the north, or the Brooks Range northward, IFR right up along the coastline of the Panhandle, otherwise marginal except for Northern Link Canal. And then for Tuesday afternoon, breaks out here over the central or inside water areas, but staying marginal right along the coast. IFR up toward Yakutat and over toward Cape Yakataga to possibly south end of Montague Island, southward, north, VFR, just about all of interior Alaska, right on out to the Arctic coast, marginal VFR here. Coming inland across the Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta near St. Lawrence Island, and then no change over the Bering Sea, just all IFR. And for passes, Anatuvik and Adigan, VFR tomorrow. Be clouds around, especially in the morning hours, but they should be the VFR variety, showers. And for Lake Clark and Merrill, VFR, rainy, VFR. Another VFR day for windy as well. And Isabel, chance of a thunderstorm, possibly, otherwise VFR. VFR also from Antasta. And Tanita, VFR, again, risk of a thunderstorm, probably mostly over the mountains, though, either side of the pass. And for Portage, marginal VFR to start, becoming VFR. Chilkoot and White, same trend, marginal VFR in the morning, becoming VFR late morning and through the afternoon. And for the freezing levels, we have that kind of a cutoff cold upper low here over the Chukchi Sea, or southern Chukchi Sea, reflected by that 2,000-foot freezing level there and kind of this cold pocket associated with it. Otherwise, eastern interior, northeast interior, 8,000 feet, 10,000 up across south central Alaska, back down along the Alaska Peninsula, the Fox Islands, and then kind of a 8,000 to 6,000 foot pattern there going on across the Panhandle, and 6,000 feet over the southwest Bering and western Aleutians. Icing with that moisture with the slow-moving system there, areas of light to very isolated, moderate, mostly rime-type icing here. A little cooler, so 5,000 feet and up out here over the Bering Sea, and then sloping up to about 10,000 feet here over the Fox Islands. Icing free over the interior, exception being up here along the eastern Arctic coast, eastern north slope with some moisture sliding eastward, and then the convective moisture here over toward the eastern border. And from there, taking a look at the jet stream, ridging, high pressure here from the Pacific northward, at least over southern Alaska. We have this jet coming around that upper level low near Banks Island, 50 to 60 knot westerlies on the eastern Arctic coast, associated with that moisture I just spoke of up there for the icing. And that's really just affecting the eastern north slope and Arctic coast. High pressure here controlling the remainder of the weather. Trough out over the Bering Sea, 130 knot jet, not quite making it up to the west central Aleutians. 3,000 feet, still pretty breezy around that low center out over the Aleutians, 30 to 40 knots, diminishing as you head east and north. Pretty light through the Bering Strait, and then about 10 to 15 over the Arctic coast, north slope areas. Westerlies 15 through the central interior. Same pattern, generally at 3,000 feet. Light 5 to 15 knot winds over the interior, 10 knots over the Panhandle, windiest out west there with that system, and we've got some light to isolated moderate chop to go along with that, especially for small aircraft for the Alaska Peninsula, and that extends all the way out to Amchitka.
Technology. It's the rhythm of our everyday life. We're more dependent on satellite and communication systems than at any other time in history. Disruptions can affect our economy and even our safety. To prepare for the effects of such events and minimize impacts, we need to look outside our atmosphere, some 93 million miles away, at a star we call the Sun. It's our main energy source. It warms the Earth and grows our food, while the Sun and the space between may seem pleasant from our perspective, it's anything but peaceful. At its surface exists a chaotic state of eruptions and radiation. And unlike Vegas, what happens at the sun doesn't stay at the sun.
Space weather is essentially emissions from the sun, radiation, magnetic field that erupts from the solar surface, pumped out into space, sometimes right towards Earth. When it impacts the Earth, it impacts our technology. That's what we call space weather.
These solar events and their effects at Earth can disrupt systems we take for granted. From causing blackouts to the power grid, to delaying offshore drilling operations due to inaccurate GPS data. Interference with communication systems can force air traffic to reroute and impact rescue response and coordination. Outside our atmosphere, solar radiation can harm astronauts and the systems they depend on. The good news is that these eruptions can be detected early. Forecasters at the NOAA Space Weather Prediction Center in Boulder, Colorado, have their eyes on the sun at all times.
The Space Weather Prediction Center is part of the National Weather Service and is very much like a normal weather forecast office. We're here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We're looking at data, we're looking at imagery, we're looking at model outputs. As conditions develop, we put out alerts, warnings, and watches of imminent activity to our customers so they can take action.
In many ways, forecasting space weather is a lot like forecasting hurricanes. Those who rely on space weather forecasts, like electric power grid managers, are informed early on and can begin taking protective action.
When we see an eruption on the sun, space weather forecasters will issue a watch. This is much like a hurricane watch. When a hurricane sits offshore of Miami, for example, perhaps 48 hours out, we too can see way in advance that something may be coming towards the Earth.
As the storm moves toward us, it hits a monitoring spacecraft orbiting 1 million miles away from Earth.
It's kind of our buoy sitting out there offshore, and that hurricane, about 30, 45 minutes before it makes landfall, we'll get the measurements from the buoy. That's what this spacecraft does for us. That big eruption that left the sun hits the spacecraft. Now we've got the measurements of exactly what's going to impact us here on Earth, and we issue the warnings to give the power grid a heads up that the storm is now imminent. An interesting element to this whole process is that when the forecasters issue the alert, the power grid receives the alert, takes the necessary actions to protect the grid, and the average citizen never knows anything ever happened.
The number of customers who rely on space weather information continues to grow. As our reliance on technology increases, so will our need for constant monitoring of the sun.
Space weather affects technologies. As conditions develop, we put out alerts, warnings, and watches to our customers so they can take action.
GPS has changed society. Most people don't realize how remarkable and how many different applications there are.
The GPS has become an integral part, not just of our daily lives as far as cell phones and guidance for our cars and mapping, but the whole system in agriculture is really relying heavily on high accuracy GPS.
So they're using GPS to plant those seeds with centimeter accuracy. And then they can come behind it and irrigate and fertilize right where that seed is with that 1 centimeter accuracy.
The GPS creates a line for the operator that he can steer along, or you go to another level and the operator doesn't steer anymore and the tractor has an automatic steering system on it, much like a cruise control on a car, except for when I push the button it doesn't drive a set speed. When I push a button it stays on a predefined line.
You don't even need lights. You can do it at nighttime. You program your GPS and it's driving that tractor for you. So it's huge, and it's changing the way that the farmers farm the fields.
6 or 7 days out.
There's an interest in GPS applications from space weather side because when the sun is eruptive, it causes GPS to falter, and in some cases it doesn't work at all.
Productivity may suffer to a certain degree in that there's no way that I as a human being can steer as good 8 hours a day as a GPS system is going to do. It's going to be the same all day long. Some of the other application technologies, those are going to be gone. We're not going to have the ability to do good section control on sprayers and planters and fertilizer applicators without GPS.
We see a huge growing customer base in so many different industries, so many different sectors now relying on GPS and high precision GPS. They're all big customers for us.
And now, marine weather around Alaska.
Welcome back. Today's sea ice analysis. Again, not much different from yesterday at first look here. And the outlook is for no big changes to occur over the next 4, 5, 6 days. So moving on to the marine forecast here for the kind of a variable pattern here. East winds 15 on the south coast, north to northwest. 10 to 15 here for the remainder of the coastline. Seas pretty not too bad, 3 to 5 feet. South 20, 4-foot seas for Lynn Canal in the afternoon. Northwest at 10 for the central and southern inside waters with slight seas. And that light wind pattern continues into Tuesday as well for all of the inside waters. Northwest 15 along the coast, seas still 4 to 5 feet. Prince William Sound, west winds at 10 tomorrow, and light west-southwest breeze here for the North Gulf Coast. Seas down to 3 feet, southwest 10 for the Barren Islands, 3-foot seas. Kamishak Bay, southwest of 15. Same for Southern Cook Inlet, north of the Forelands, southwest at 10 with 3-foot seas. And then for Tuesday, a little bit of an increase, not much though. South to southwest 15 knots here for Cook Inlet, 4 to 5-foot seas. Southwest 20 for Kamishak Bay, seas at 6 feet. And the Barren Islands, southwest 15, and still light from the west-southwest here for the North Gulf Coast, and those seas still down to 2 to 3 feet, and no change for Prince William Sound. Light winds continue. Kodiak Island, east side of the island there in those marine zones, westerlies at 20, southwest 15, Shelikof Strait, Sitkinak to Castle Cape, west at 15. Small craft advisories for the Alaska Peninsula, that front holding together enough to keep the winds at least in that category with 7-foot seas from the south and southeast at 25. Bristol Bay, light winds out of the west with 3-foot seas. And then those will pick up to about 15 knots as that rapidly weakening front pushes across Bristol Bay during the afternoon on Tuesday. Otherwise, south 25 across the Alaska Peninsula, southwest 25 there up towards Sitkinak, and southwest 20 to 25 knots due to that warm front for Shelikof Strait and the east side of Kodiak. Fox Islands, Unalaska Island, south to southeast at 25, so small craft advisories there. 10 to 15 knots southerlies from Unmak Island, Adak and Atka, south to southwest at 20. And that pattern extends all the way to probably Kiska or so, and then northwest 20 with 7-foot seas there for the western zones. And then for Tuesday, northwest 20, 7-foot seas again west of Sayamchitka, and then southwest 15 turn south at 15 here for the Adak-Atka area. Sea's not too bad, up to 5-7 feet, and then small craft advisory winds call it for all of the Fox Islands at 30 knots, with the strongest winds coming across Unalaska Island, and seas up to 10 feet. And for the southwest coast, light offshore flow tomorrow, northeast at 10 knots with 3 to 4 foot seas. East 20 here for the Pribilofs, otherwise 15 knots out of the east for St. Matthew Island, northeast 15, Norton Sound and St. Lawrence Island. And then for Tuesday, St. Lawrence Island up to small craft advisory levels, east winds 25. Same thing for St. Matthew Island, southeast 15 for the Pribilofs, and the southwest coast, east to southeast 15 to 20. And for the Beaufort Sea here, we'll start here for the area from Wales on up to Cape Thompson. And that's northwest 15 tomorrow, otherwise 10-knot winds from Cape Thompson to Cape Beaufort. Western coast areas west of 15, northwest 15, central coast back to the west of 15, then increasing to 20 knots for the far eastern zones. And for Tuesday, northwest 10 to 15 here for the eastern Beaufort Sea coast, central coast light northerly breeze, 2 foot seas. East 15 here for the west side, northeast 15 on down to Cape Thompson, and then light northerly winds there on down to Wales. For tonight, this front pushes eastward. That's going to kick the rain partway up the Alaska Peninsula, definitely into the Pribilofs. Light rain, fog, and drizzle, nothing heavy at all. And again, narrow band of small craft advisory level winds ahead of the front. Fair here over the southwest interior is actually decreasing clouds in some areas there. Thunderstorms, still a possibility at Talkeetnas and northeastward along that trough into the 40-mile country. Drying out over the southeast coast. That continues tomorrow, so partly sunny skies. Mostly sunny, warm again. Thunderstorms, showers over toward the eastern border down into Susitna Valley maybe. This front brings rain to continues rain to the Alaska Peninsula and Pribilofs, and then that weakens as it pushes northeastward into the southwest interior on Tuesday afternoon.
These forecasts are for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating.